So most people, when they decide to become an entrepreneur, the first thing they think about is, well, what business should I start? Well, that goes into your vision. What's your plan? What's your purpose? What's your vision? So I guess the question is, do you start with the vision and then find an idea? Or do you have an idea and then develop a vision from that? What say you, Tanya?
Right. So I certainly think both can work. But speaking from my experience, I just always feel like the vision has come to me. It has found me more than I've gone out looking for it. So I would say some of my best ideas or some of the best visions have come to me in the middle of the night, or like I say, at the
Really?
spa, specifically around 4 in the morning. For some reason, I can wake up at that hour and not go back to sleep. There have been times I'm like, okay, all right, Lord, you want me to hear this? And I will literally get a notepad and start writing at that hour, because I do feel like everything that I have done, even starting as an entrepreneur at 21, I never thought about doing it at that age. And I never felt like I wasn't capable of doing it
Mm-hmm.
either. Once the vision came to me, it was literally a thought and then an action.
Mm.
So I am definitely not of the mindset, or just in my experience, where the idea had to come first. And then a lot of that stuff I learned in the process
Right,
of the
along the
vision.
way.
Yes, because it was not an idea. It was like, you're going to do this, you will find a way. And I definitely feel like I've always been a very resilient person and a very resourceful person.
Mm-hmm.
So once that vision is given to me, I know that all the tools I need will come into my path. It certainly may not happen overnight or in the time frame that I
Mm-hmm.
want it to, but it definitely will find, I will find it, or it will find me. That has always been the case for me.
For sure. And I think they're just people process information differently.
Hmm.
So there are some people who decide, hey, I want to start a business. What is profitable?
Yes.
What works? What do people need? So they'll determine, for instance, this is my target market.
Hmm.
What does my target market need?
Yes.
And then they'll develop a product around that and then create, okay, this is the vision for this company
Yes.
now.
Yes.
So I think there's a more technical way of doing it.
Hmm.
And then, of course, in your way, a more spiritual way of doing
Yes.
it. Like, God speak to me.
Yes. Yeah.
And as God speaks to you, you just flow in whatever direction He's leading you to. Now, that would require that you have a relationship with God.
Yes.
Because if you don't, we don't know who's speaking to you.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but there are two ways of doing it. But either way, once you get this idea in your head,
Hmm.
you have to have a very clear
Vision.
and concise vision. You have to be able to write it down, make
Hmm.
it plain, and be have total clarity as to what it is. And I think that's where a lot of people fall off. They aren't really clear. Because remember, if someone asks you, so what do you do? It should be 1 to 2 sentences,
Yes.
not 22
Right.
sentences trying to explain to someone
Right.
what it
What
is
do
you
you
do.
do?
If you cannot explain it in 1 to 2 sentences,
You need
you
to go
don't
back to the
know.
drawing
Yeah,
board for
you don't know
certain.
what you do.
Yes, and I think, like I said, there is no correct way, but I do think sometimes when people decide they want to be an entrepreneur and they come up with an idea and it does not come from within, or you're just looking at, oh, everybody's buying sunglasses, I need to sell sunglasses.
Hmm.
If it's not something that you're passionate about, because I really do think, that you need to have some level of passion to what you're doing. Because how can you stay the course or stay resilient? Because as we spoke about in other episodes, there will be some obstacles,
Hmm.
even with something as simple as selling sunglasses. They might get lost in the mail. They may be like the whole, I don't know. It could be anything that comes your way, specifically obstacles. So if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you can get burnt out or over it extremely quick. Like, you
For
know what?
sure.
That was just an idea. I don't like that. Let me try the next one. So I do think people really waste a lot of money, waste a lot of time on ideas if they don't put that into a purpose, a vision, and all the things that it takes to really make you a entrepreneur, I should say.
Yeah. And I think that's probably where we differ a little bit because there are a lot of people who do just kind of pick an idea
Mm-hmm.
that is working. They follow very strategic
Strategic. Mm-hmm.
steps and it works, it becomes profitable. So I think it can work that way as well. Because then their driving factor is the
Profit.
profitability.
Yes, yes.
They're like, oh, I'm making 20,000 a month. Oh, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yes.
So even when obstacles come, the money is driving them to keep doing it. So I think it could be either way because, like, for instance, most people who start like Amazon stores, they're not passionate about selling
No.
baby diapers or whatever.
Yes.
They're just like, oh, I can make money selling
Selling.
diapers. So I'm going to sell diapers. So I think it could go either way. There's some people who are completely passionate about a thing and it never works.
Yes.
I don't know why, but there are a lot of people who are.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are people who are just technical. So you have in everything in life, you have the people who follow what they feel and
Mm-hmm.
people who follow things strategically.
Yes.
Just like in school, there are some people who learn well in front of they have to be in a classroom. And then there are some people who can just read a book,
Right.
follow a syllabus, and pass a test.
Yes.
So it really depends on like your style of like learning, how you process information,
Yes.
and how you are able to function. So there's the strategic way, and then there is the spiritual
Or passionate
way.
way. Yes.
But I'm a firm believer that everything has to be backed by some type of research. So I'm probably more on the technical side over
Yes.
here, and you're
Mhm.
more on the passionate side. So even if I, have an idea or a vision, I want to do market research and find out, is this something that would make sense?
Right.
Like, is there a market for it? Are there people? Which, because I'm a Christian, I get conflicted with that
Mhm.
because I do believe that God can lay stuff in your lap that may not make sense that will work.
Right.
So I do believe that as well. So I get conflicted.
As we
Sometimes
all do.
I ain't
Yes.
perfect. It's all good.
As we all do, but like I said, I feel like that passion allows me to move with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that it is the right way or the wrong way. I do wish sometimes that I thought from a more technical standpoint, especially as I'm maturing. It would be nice to just be like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, it's going to yield this. And it does not require so much energy and passion.
Mhm.
So I am moving towards those things as I'm continuing to learn and grow. And a lot of things I've learned right here on this podcast from some of the other entrepreneurs who
Yeah,
have
for
visited
sure.
us. So that has always also been an amazing experience, just really still, or coming back to being a student. Because I do always move with purpose and passion, I didn't always listen to the other side because I feel like God placed this on my heart and this is the route that I'm going to take. And so adaptability can be really big,
Yeah.
but I do feel like there are times where I'm like, I got mine. I'm not going to adapt. I'm not going to adjust. But I do think COVID has taught us all that we have to pivot and adjust.
And when the
So
time
that
is right, for
definitely
sure.
did shift the mindset tremendously. Fortunately for me, I was retired during the time of COVID, so I
Mhm.
didn't face a lot of those challenges in that moment. But coming out of it with a new perspective, I am still learning and
Mhm.
growing to really find ideas that may not always be my
Right.
passion,
Right.
but
Right.
things that can yield.
For sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but what's interesting what you said is that I'm sure there are times, I believe that there are times where you have to take what you're passionate about, what you feel God has put in your spirit, and mesh that together with what is technical and
Yes.
data.
Correct.
And,
Mhm.
because the data is here for a reason.
Yes.
So I do think if God says, hey, I think you should open up a spa, you do have to do the market research to figure out where that spa should be located, what services you should offer.
Right.
So I think the two definitely have to work hand in hand.
Certainly, because I have had 4 spas, And yeah, not that great. I had a space that was 6,600 square feet, and 3,300 square feet was dedicated to spa, when spa was bringing in 10% of the revenue.
Wow.
So because I had already dedicated that much space to it, spent money on microderm machines and Vichy showers and steam rooms. I mean, you've put all this money, and as somebody who moves with passion and
Right.
purpose, I really felt charged to see it through.
Mm-hmm.
But it just never happened. And then once the massage envies came along and the skincare places who started having niche places,
Yeah.
it kind of really blew me out the
Yeah,
water.
it's
I could
different now.
never compete with the hotels.
Yeah.
But then once they came along and bought, well, I don't know, $50 massages, it became a point where like, okay,
Yeah,
we have to change this. We're going to have to go
sure.
here upstairs as well, because the spa was on the upper level. So yeah, there have been things placed on my heart, and I've moved with purpose, but they did not work. So that is very accurate. Yes.
So both can work.
Yes. Yes.
And I think the perfect way is them being married together.
Yes.
And working together.
Yeah, for certain. So,
I don't know if anything else, but I do think that if you're considering becoming an entrepreneur and you're stuck with what should I do, it does take doing both, like looking inside as to what you feel, anything that's been laid on your heart to do. Definitely, what do you do well now? Whether it's cooking, am I great at cleaning? Do I speak well? Whatever it is that you do now, you usually can take that and turn that into a business. But I would back it all with market research, and that's just my thing. I'm more data and numbers. So,
and I do think that sometimes people don't see the things they love as a passion. So maybe if you love coffee, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That becomes something that you become passionate about. You don't think about that as a passion of yours. But if you're drinking coffee every day, and you can then go on Amazon and sell coffee from Amazon, because guess what? You could be posting yourself drinking cute little cups of coffee every day. And so that's why I say I don't think people always think that the things that they enjoy and love, they don't put it together as something that they're passionate about. And it can be simple things that you're passionate about. Even if the mugs that you love, that you drink coffee out, it could be selling mugs.
Yeah, because if you love coffee, you're probably very particular
about
the coffee. So you probably have done a lot of research with it or whatever. And, one final thing is, what do people always compliment you on?
Yes.
Because I struggle with that. People always compliment me on certain things, and I always say, no, that's not my thing. But maybe that is your thing.
Right. Exactly.
If people are always saying, wow, you're such a great speaker, or you teach people so well, maybe that's your thing, and that's something that you can look into. But that's where it all starts.
Yes.
And the hardest thing is figuring out what you're going to do and then putting a plan together to get to the end.
Definitely. So we do agree that a plan always needs to be in place.
You need a plan.
Yeah.
But you don't need to make that plan. Get it together quick.
Right.
Do not be making no plan for 12 months.
Yes.
Get your plan together quick. Give yourself deadlines. Like, I always give myself deadlines.
Oh, I do have friends who have had plans for 5, 6, 7 years. No. 5, 6, 7 years sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for everything to be in place.
It's never
perfect. And I guess, as we say, becoming entrepreneurs at a young age, we learn how to jump in immediately. You know what I mean?
You figure it out as you go along.
You definitely do. But that plan is necessary, even when you're figuring it out.
Just do it quick.
Yes.
I mean, now you could just put it in Chat GPT and say, hey, help me,
right.
help me with a plan for this type of business or whatever. But yeah, I think, that kind of covers vision.
Yes, definitely.